Alright, this is the last video for section 8.5. I'm going to do 2 examples from example 6. Watch the previous video if you didn't see it to get an idea of what we're doing here. We're trying to eliminate all the little fractions. So again, you want to factor what can be factored. In this case, nothing can be factored. So I'm going to go ahead and start by trying to eliminate all of my individual fractions. And again, the easiest way to do this is to just look to see what's on the bottom, what shows up. A 2x minus 1 shows up. So multiply that to the top and the bottom. This doesn't have a fraction, so you don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and skip down to here. I have a 4x. We'll put that on the top and the bottom. And then I have another 2x minus 1. Well, I already have it. I don't need to put it twice. So I have my least common multiple. I'm now going to distribute that to all 4 things. So again, if it helps you to cover this up, you can. So essentially we're looking at just this part right now. Okay, I'm going to distribute this to this fraction and also to this number here. Okay, so starting off with the first one. Okay, if I multiply these 2 things together, the 2x minus 1s will cancel, and I'm left with 3x times 4x, which is 12x squared. The minus sign drops. Remember, the whole goal is to get the fraction to go away. So if nothing cancels, then you've done something wrong. Here we don't have a fraction, so nothing's going to cancel anyway. So you just multiply. 2 times 4x is 8x times the 2x minus 1. So that is my new numerator. And I'm going to do the same thing. Again, you don't worry about the top now. The top's done. I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. I'm going to take this, I'm going to multiply it to the first fraction. When I do that, the 4x's cancel. I'm left with the 5 and the 2x minus 1. I'll distribute those later. The minus sign drops. And I'm going to do the same thing to this one. Here, the 2x minus 1's cancel. I'm left with the x and the 4x, which is 4x squared. So your goal of getting all of your little fractions to go away, you achieve. Now you want to simplify as much as possible. So we're going to distribute. 12x squared drops. Negative 8x times 2x is negative 16x squared. Negative 8x times negative 1 is positive 8. On the bottom, I'm also going to distribute to get 10x minus 5. And then minus 4x squared drops. Combine your like terms. 12x squared minus 16x squared is negative 4x squared plus 8. On the bottom, negative 4x squared drops. Plus 10x minus 5. Remember, you want those in standard form. So, I'm going to see if I can factor this at all. It may be factoral, it may not be. I'm going to check and see. So here I know I can take out a GCF. I'm going to take out a negative 4. I'll be left with x squared minus 2 in this case. And that actually cannot be factored any further. X squared minus 2 cannot be taken any further. On the bottom, I can take out a negative, and I'll be left with 4x squared minus 10x plus 5. So let's see if I can take that any further. 4 times 5 is 20. Are there any factors of 20 that will get me negative 10? I can't think of any, but I do see that I have 2 negatives that will cancel. So my final answer is, because these negatives cancel, is 4x squared minus 2 over 4x squared minus 10x plus 5. Unfortunately, nothing else could cancel, but you do need to check just in case. So that is your final complete answer for that example 6. Alright, remember, you can pause these at any time to catch up or to try them out yourself. So like for this one, if it were me doing this is a little bit easier of a question than the last one. Pause it. Try it yourself. If you get stuck, play the video, catch yourself up, and then try again. Alright, for this one, we actually do have a denominator that we can factor. And you do want to do that. So I'm going to rewrite this question. 2 over x can't factor. Neither can the 3 over x minus 1. But on the bottom here, 2x minus 2, I can take out a 2. And even though that seems kind of simple, you do want to do that step. Take out a 2, you're left with x minus 1. It'll make this problem so much easier. Now, we're going to try to get our fractions to cancel. So we look at the bottoms and we see, what does the bottoms have? We have an x, so put that on the top and the bottom. We have an x minus 1, so put that on the top and the bottom. We have a 2, put that on the top and the bottom. And we have an x minus 1, we already have that, so we don't have to put it again. The only time you would have to put x minus 1 twice is if it showed up twice underneath the same fraction. In this case, it doesn't. So now that we have that, we're going to multiply. And just like before, think about it being covered up. Think about just this portion right here. We're going to take that, and we're going to distribute it to both fractions. So if I do it to the first fraction, the only thing that cancels are the x's. So you got 2 times 2, which is 4, and then the x minus 1. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then the x minus 1. The plus sign drops. Remember, you're trying to get the fractions to cancel, so same thing here. When I multiply these two, the x minus 1's cancel. I'm left with 3 times 2x, which is 6x. My goal has been achieved. I no longer have any fractions on the numerator. Do the same thing to the bottom. There's only one fraction here, that makes it a little bit easier. The 2's will cancel, and so will the x minus 1's. And since we only got one fraction, I want to show the cancellation. That 2 and that 2 cancel. This x minus 1 and that x minus 1 cancel. The only thing left over is the x times the 1, which is an x. So, my last step is to simplify. 4x, and then minus 4 when you distribute, plus 6x, divided by x. And then you combine like terms. 10x minus 4. You can factor out a 2. You cannot cancel anything, though. If you notice, I did all that factoring, but nothing cancels. That is your final answer.